All right, what's going on, guys? I am here with Mr. Terrence, who piloted the Big Mum starter deck leader over this weekend's OC Treasure Cup. So congratulations, my friend, on the top 8
Thank you.
that you got. 7th place, I believe. So without ado, take it away.
So on the day, we'll go to our matchups first, where
Yep.
I went against Mocha in the first round,
Yep.
into Zoro, Katakuri, Magellan, which was kind of weird. Didn't expect that to go 3-0. That I actually shit myself there just because Magellan was one of the matchups that I did not like playing against.
Yep.
It's because he made you stack your dons and you couldn't hit your late game quick enough. So I got really scared there, but I still pulled through in that one. Then I played into a Zoro, which I lost. Another Zoro that I won. And the second game that I lost was Law. And then I won the last 2, which was Katakuri and Yamato.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So, yeah, we'll dive into the profile, eh?
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. So this is Big Mum, just in case anyone is wondering.
So
So what does she do?
Big Mom's ability is that you can replace your life, basically saying. So if you have, let's say, it's easy to show it. So let's say you have 5 life,
Yep.
You've taken 2, and at this point, if you attach 2 Dawn onto her, you're allowed to take your top life or your bottom life, and then put something from your hand back on top. And it just gives you a lot more control over the pacing of the game compared to Katakuri, where
Yep.
your triggers are literally RNG, full RNG. If you trigger, you trigger. If you don't, then you're on the bad end of it. Meanwhile, Lin can let you just put things back in. You can start triggering Thunderbolts. You can start triggering Shirahoshis whenever you need it, basically.
Awesome. So I like the whole life manipulation thing that it can do, so that's cool.
So let's just start with the 2K counters.
All right.
So here we have Force Trucents. Usually you only ever use it as a 2K counter, but I find that into law matchups sometimes that playing it first turn and just ditching a trigger from hand, removing one of the units can really screw up their pacing, especially if they don't have many 1 costs. And that just swings things, buys you a lot more time, makes them panic a little. So, and then now you have Pudding, 4 of those, and really 2K counter, you never really use it, you never play it.
Okay, so it's just for a 2K counter.
Yeah, just for a 2K counter. And then you have Sanji's, which almost exclusively used for a 2K counter as well.
Yep.
I've only ever played it once from hand on the sim in like 50, 60, 70 games. Like, Sanji it's good, but him existing in your hand as a 2K counter brings you a lot more value, especially into matchups like Zoro. Even though you want to drop units to be able to clear his like buggies and Ezos and stuff, he's just gonna Fire Fist it, and that just gives him way too much value.
Yeah.
So there's no point ever dropping it. Like, you drop this and then you drop your Perispell, that's a free Fire Fist. Like, way too much value for him.
So it can be very situational.
Yeah, it can be very situational, but typically 2K counter, much better. And we'll move into the 4 searches. 1 cost Pudding, very typical of any yellow deck. You just play it out, top 4 cards, take a Big Mum card. Typically, depending on your turn order and what you have in your hand, you want to search out for, let's say if you're going turn 2, you want to be searching out for these Rush Katakuris if you don't have it in your hand already. Just because when you're going turn 2, your opponent's going to swing into you first on their first turn. You're going to take that life. You play Katakuri out next turn. You can look at your top life, and if it's not a trigger, put it to the bottom. You'll be able to pick it up with Big Mom's ability afterwards anyway. So it gives you control, and you might be able to get another trigger off your next life. Who knows? So that's really strong. And you get 2 swings. Katakuri and then your leader into him. So that's just really strong in general. If you're playing to a Katakuri matchup on the other hand, or a Yamato matchup, I like to look at their life first instead of my own, because I'd rather him not trigger something. So if you play Katakuri, you look at his top life, you see a cracker, you bottom that. You just straight bottom that. You don't want him to get a cracker early on, that's just horrible. It just ruins your entire matchup.
And the fact that it gains rush as well, eh?
Yeah.
That's just huge.
It does have counter, but that rush, like, you could put him sideways, turn 2, and they're gonna have to swing into it if they want to clear it. That's 6k, that's an extra don on their leader to do it.
Yeah.
It's just powerful. It acts as a pseudo blocker. If you don't get Katakuris in hand, Opera is a good replacement for a turn 2 drop, still 6k. And these are the only 4 cost units that I play in the deck. I don't play Cracker because I found that majority of the time, Cracker never gets the the usefulness from his ability.
Yep.
He's practically just a 4-drop 5k unit that kind of exists. He's a 1k counter in hand. So if I'm going to do that, I might as well have Opera there. So 4k, 4 cost 6k. Gives you more control into the Whitebeard matchup as well. So you can just swing into his units and swing into him much easier.
Yep.
I also don't play Cracker because when you're playing Linlin, you're triggering from life. You don't want to ditch a card. Like the 2k counters in your hand, the Katakuris, the 8 drops, 7 drops, 10 drops, they're all too important as you progress because you want to be able to play on curve. And if you're ditching cards from hand like that, you won't be able to play your 8 drop Katakuri, you won't be able to play your 10 drop Linlin on curve because you're losing too much life because you can't counter out.
Right.
It's just the trade-off's just not worth it, I find. And then the other things that you can search out are Chaos Petals. Just a very, very typical card. You see.
Now, yeah, this card's very useful. I see it a lot. It's got a good trigger.
Yep. Definitely. This one, on the other hand, I wouldn't mind triggering from life because it replaces itself.
Yeah.
Like once it dies, you get another card in hand. It replaces itself as a 2k counter, especially when you don't have the 2k counters in hand. You can just ditch one card, a 1k counter, put Petals out, apply pressure, and then it replaces itself. Lets you search for things top 3, not absolutely necessary card in the deck.
Yeah.
Petal. And if you're going first, your curve of 1 cost, 3 cost is just really strong. And
Awesome.
Moving on from that is the 5-drop Yamato from the standard deck. I was running the 3 cost blockers, Shirley, I think it's called, before that. But I moved towards the Yamato because the vanilla 7k is just so much more powerful. Like dropping that on curve, you can apply so much pressure onto Whitebeard, onto Katakuri, onto Yamato, and onto Doflamingo, all of these matchups. Like if they want to bounce it back to bottom deck as well and in the Dolphin matchup, that's the entire turn basically. Like do what you gotta do, but like this thing, 7k, very strong. Lets you clear units really easily as well.
7k is just that sweet spot as well.
Exactly.
For most things, so it's just so good.
So
yeah.
Zoro really like struggles like dealing with this because after that you can drop your on 1 cost curve. You can drop your Linlins.
Yeah,
7 drop Linlins.
Yeah. Now we know what this one does. Yep.
Yep. We all know what it does. It's just a pain. But the 7 drop Linlins I only run 2 of.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to compromise my turn 2 going second turns because typically most of the time you want to go second. These cards exist because on the off chance you lose the dice roll, you're going first. This has to happen.
Yeah.
And you're able to search out the Linlins anyway if you need to. If you don't see it, it's not too much of a problem as long as you can drop more units. As long as you can drop like this 4-drop Opera or something in return at 7 Dawn and start swinging and then replacing your life with the trigger, it's okay. Because especially into Zoro matchup, because Zoro's just gonna ditch his own life.
Yeah.
So having the big unit is nice, but having something similar like Yamato or something slightly less powerful like Opera is okay as a replacement, as long as you're able to control the pace of the game and not lose too much health.
Awesome.
And then another staple of yellow, Katakuri.
And now this guy's huge.
This guy's huge. This
Now
guy
is he very?
big.
Is he? What do you reckon? Like, so what made you go for maybe 3? Like,
So-
of running him?
You don't want to see too many of him. So I didn't want to run 4, but you want to see enough so that you can control the pacing of the game.
Okay.
Like, especially into Zoro, where if you're going second, you're curving from this into maybe double Peril or back into another Opera and using your leader ability with 2 dons, so it's 4, 6, and then replacing your life, and then swinging into his units. And then on the next turn, they might play Marco. They might have a Marco on board, and that gets bounced to the bottom life. Without contest, just bottom that card because you can't remove it. It's like the only card that it can't be removed unless they play the blocker Marco, which will also get bottomed. Like Marcos just get bottomed. I wouldn't care. I don't care if I'm putting anything to life or not. I just want to bottom that Marco. It's the same thing, right? Like if you bottom the Marco, that's 1 less swing into you, which is basically 1 more life that you're given.
Yep.
So, and think of it that way. And 8 drop 8k, big unit, you know.
I mean, 8 drop 8k is really good as well.
Yeah, not bad. Like value's not there, but that bottoming is just way too good.
It's huge.
And then you have the 4 big mums.
The big mum. It's a 4 of.
It is a 4 because you want to see at least 2 of it in most games.
Yep.
In Whitebeard matchup, seeing more than 1 is a liability because you only ever get to play 1 in the Whitebeard matchup, and that's going first.
Okay.
The thing about the Whitebeard matchup is that the only way I found to win is going first. It's counterintuitive. Most people want to take away, want to give Whitebeard first so that they lose more life. I don't care if they're losing more life or not. I care about getting value out of my 7 drop, my 10 drops, and my 8 drops, which means I'm going first. I'm dropping units wherever I can, and I'm not swinging into his life. I'm just letting my units stay, and then if he swings his units into me, I'll start swinging my units into his. He has to choose to either lose the speed drill or lose the touch, or ditch cards from hand. And that's basically the goal of it. Yep. And that 7 drop Lin will force him to either ditch his life or you gain 1. So you buy yourself more time in that sense. And then afterwards, Katakuri bottoms 1 more. Then he'll be on 2 or 3 life then. But then you drop the 10 drop after that, he's down to 1. Next turn he plays, he takes the last life. And you can start swinging your entire board at him. If he's able to counter out of that, you did all you can. You've done all you can. Like there's nothing more you can do. Like, that's really much it. That's the Whitebeard matchup, really.
Yeah.
Zoro matchup, you play pretty standard.
Yep.
You're playing your units on curve. You're keeping track of his board, and making sure you don't take too much life early. And that's basically it. Like Zoro matchup is one of your staples, like 50-50, more like 60-40 leaning towards you. It's just on the Zoro player to play well. You're playing on curve, you're playing like there's not much you can like influence it.
Yep, that's fine.
It just happens. You just control his board. Control his board. Make sure you don't die too early, and that's about it. And then continue with the deck, like these are your triggers, like 4 Shirahoshi.
So we got 4. Yep,
the bread and butter card. You trigger it from life. You're just cycling through cards, getting to your big units towards the end of the game.
Draw 3, discard 2. It's so huge. Play from trigger.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And it just allows you to cycle your dead cards, especially towards the end of the game. And you can get your 2k counters whenever you need to. It's just a good cycle. 4 Thunderbolts, because it's the only removal yellow has.
Yep.
Without Thunderbolt, you can't remove blockers. So certain matchups are just unwinnable otherwise. And then your Brûlés.
Final the Brûlé blockers, eh?
Yep.
And then play from
blockers.
trigger.
Play from trigger.
Great card.
Typically I wouldn't bounce this I wouldn't put from hand to life.
Yep.
If I'm going to put something to life, Thunderbolt or Shirahoshi. If I don't have enough counters in hand, I'll put Shirahoshi in there. If not, I'll put Thunderbolt in there. Thunderbolt lets you just control the board state, lets you actually gain some momentum to drop your large units. Brûlé, if I trigger Brûlé from life, and if I already have the board control, and there's nothing that's really threatening me, I would just play Katakuri, bounce Brûlé back, bounce Shirahoshi back.
Yeah.
It just makes your already good game state into a guaranteed win almost. Awesome man.
Well, there you go, guys. That's the profile there from Terrence, hitting top 8 at this past weekend's Treasure Cup. So any shout outs, man, before we head out that you'll have to give? Perhaps someone out there?
Shout out to the guy who came fourth in one of the Gen Con one with the Lin deck list.
Yep.
I based it off that deck list and another one who didn't run Cracker, and I just kind of mixed around with it and then just drop in like five drop Yamato. Like it's nuts. And also to Jonathan, because he convinced me to put in the 5 drop Yamatos. Otherwise I would still be running Shirley's.
Is that Jonathan Wong, is it? Or,
Jonathan
yep.
Wong.
Shout out to you, buddy. Awesome, man. That's great. So yeah, thanks guys. Remember always to like and subscribe and to hit that bell to stay notified. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks, Terrence.
Thank you.